Today I want us to look at cell phone technology in this aspect. We want to see how normally the phone is able to communicate with another phone, specifically a cell phone to cell phone communication. We want to look at how does that actually happens. What are the key things that are involved? So before we settle down and understand that, I just want to bring to your attention the history of is the phone, history of the cell phone, history of the radio telephone, and history of wireless communication. So I just want to give you a brief history of all this. Now, we all know that a phone is simply a radio. That is a fact. It is simply a radio that is a bit complex. Now, having stated that, we know that in the year 1876, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Now, at around 1880s, someone known as Nikolai Tesla invented radio. Now, radio invention paved the way for wireless communication. Now, this invention made it possible for the technology then and the inventors coming up with what we call radio telephone, and there was a radio telephone system. Now, the radio telephone system consisted of two main things. Now, the things were the central antenna, which was installed somewhere within a city and had around 25 channels which can or were used for communication. Then there was the powerful transmitter, which was able to communicate within a span of 70 kilometers away from the central antenna. So that was a radio telephone system for you. Now, the main thing that I want us to look at is the cellular system. How is the cellular system organized? What are the elements, or what are the key things or the key components that are involved in this setup? So to understand this, we need to define what a cellular system is. Now, a cellular system is basically a modification of radio telephone system, because with cellular system, the high powerful transmitters was replaced by many low power transmitters. So the high power transmitter that was in radio telephone system was replaced by several low power transmitters. Now, each of these low power transmitters were able to cover a certain service area. So this service area is what we called, or what is known as today, as a service area, or simply a cell. So the main thing was to make the system work and allow more devices to communicate, and also to increase the strength of signals which were being transmitted then. Now, the system itself that is cellular system itself, consisted of three main parameters, three main components, three main items. So the first item was the mobile unit. You can think of it as your phone. Then there was a cell site. Now this was the base unit. Now this is, you can even compare it with the low power transmitter. Then there was a mobile telephone switching office. Now these were the critical elements or critical components that constitute a cellular system. Now, just to break it down to you, what each component was able to do, or what was the purpose of having all these components. So the first item that we mentioned was the mobile unit. Then we also had what we call the cell site. All right. Then we also had the mobile phone switching office. Now, the mobile unit constituted or comprises of a control unit, a transmitter, and an antenna. On the other hand, we had the cell site. Now, the cell site was an interface between MTSO and the mobile unit. So it comprises of the control unit, antenna, the power plant, and data terminal. So this was the main man in between these two. So it would communicate, and it would facilitate the communication between mobile unit and the telephone switching, mobile telephone switching office. Now, having stated that, we also mention what we call the mobile telephone switching office. Now, this was the central piece. Its main purpose and function was to coordinate the cell site, right? And it comprises of a cellular processor and a cellular switch. So most important thing about MTSO was the handling of call processing operation, and also the handling of billing activities of the subscriber. So that was a key thing. Now, the whole structure was designed this way. We are able to see some hexagonal shapes here that you are able to see. There is one hexagon here, there is another hexagon here. So in my diagram, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexagon. So this hexagon, each hexagonal shape represented what we mentioned earlier, which is the cell or the service area. These define the geographical area which the base station or the cell site, which appear in the middle, right, is able to service. So these cells were basically what gave the phone we normally call today cell phone their name. So this is how the whole structure was designed. In the middle of this hexagon, you are able to see the base controller or the base station, and then this base station is also what we call the cell site. Okay, then this blue item you are seeing here could be now your mobile unit. Okay, so this mobile unit can be a phone or even those radio devices that are installed in vehicles so that they can be able to communicate. But the thing is, the components that made the cell phone what it is today is the ability to make sure that the high powered transmitter, which was originally there, being replaced by low powered transmitters which are able to communicate one to another and facilitate the local communication as it is. Okay, so having mentioned that, I want to share with you simply and briefly how this thing works. So I want to share with you the communication between your phone, the cell site or the base station, and the MTSO. because these are the elements that form part of the cellular system. So we want to look at how the communication normally takes place and what are the key parameters that are involved in that communication that we are referring to right now. Now, I want you to have this in mind, that you have a phone in your hand and probably this phone is off, but the moment you switch it on, it will connect. So whenever your phone is on, what normally happens? So I want to pick it from that point where your phone is off and you want to switch it on, and there after switching it on, what really goes down or what happens. So the key thing, your phone is off, you switch it on. The first thing your phone will try to do is to listen for SID. So SID is a cellular system identification code on the control channel. Now the control channel is a special frequency that your phone uses to communicate with the base station. So one among the things that this control channel does is to communicate and set up the call setup and also do what we call channel switching. So immediately your phone is on, it will look for SID. If it doesn't get the SID from the control channel, then it will be able to display a message on the screen telling you no service. So this message is what most of us are familiar with. We know it, we've experienced it. So whenever you see such message or that particular message, know that your phone was trying to communicate with the base station and it could not find any signal emanating from the base station, and therefore it was out of range, and whenever it is out of range, it will display the message no service. Now let's move on. Now let's take, for example, your phone is able to listen to SID and it's able to get it. So the moment the phone is able to reach the SID, it will compare it with the SID programmed within it, the one that is already installed in it, or the one that is already residing within the phone. Now if the phone finds the SID, it is able to compare. Now, and if the two match, the phone is able to know that the cell with which it is communicating is part of the home system. Now, the home system in cell phone configuration is the main part or the main area where normally the details of the subscriber, the number, the phone details and such, and SIM card details are normally recorded and stored. So home system is very important in phone communication. Now, right after that, now remember your phone has been able to listen to SID. It has been able to compare the two. The SID that is within the phone and the one that was coming from the control channel. Now, the two have been compared and they are matching. So the next thing your phone will do, it will send the SID and registration request to MTSO. So what will happen? The MTSO will save in its database your phone's location, right after being requested by your phone. So it will be able to show that. So the main reason of doing that is so that the MTSO is able to know your exact current cell location. Where are you in a particular cell where you are operating from, or where you are in at that moment. Now, let's say now after your phone has been able to send the registration request, the MTSO has been able to save your phone location in its database. Let's say a call is coming through that you need to pick, or a call is coming that is trying to seek you. So what it will happen is that the MTSO will receive a call. Then it will try to locate you by searching from the database to determine your phone or your cell location. Now, once the MTSO is able to locate your device or your cell location, what it will do, it will select certain frequency pairs so that it can pair with your phone to use in that particular cell you are operating from in order to accept the call. Now, once it is able to do that, the MTSO will communicate with your phone through the control channel to tell your phone to use the frequencies that it has been able to open, and at that moment your phone call will come through, and you will be able to communicate with your device. So that's how it normally happens out there when you have a phone and you are trying to communicate. So when you're using your phone, communicating with people around you, around here, within the county or far away, that is what normally happens. Now, the other thing that I would want to touch on today is in the general structure of cells that I mentioned earlier. You know, sometimes you are moving from point A to point B. You are moving from the town maybe to where you are living, or you are just traversing your geographical area. And as it is, you'll find that you'll move from one cell area to another cell area. So I want to show you briefly how the switching from one cell area to another takes place. So this is what normally happens. So as you move closer to the edge of the cell, the base station detects the decrease in signal strength. At the same time, the cell that you are approaching, its base area will try and start noticing the increase in signal strength as you approach it. Now, the base station that you are in and the one that you are heading to will communicate with each other, and through MTSO they will communicate through control channel, telling your phone to switch to new frequencies that is part of the cell you are moving into. So that's how the whole thing works. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you've subscribed, please share this video so that we can develop this channel together. Thank you for your continued support. See you next time.